In 1980, there was some tragedy and confusion with a man that was found 20 miles away from his home with suspicious burn marks. Who or what caused this? On June 6, Zigmund Adamski went out for groceries. When he didn't return the next day to go to a wedding, his family grew very concerned. Chilling details remained unsolved and unanswered till this day. Upon the investigation process, the police found his body without a shirt and his pants and shoes put on incorrectly. It almost seemed like the person didn't know how to put clothes on the body. And even though they speculated that he was gone for 5 days, his facial hair showed signs of 1-day growth. And he had burn marks around the neck and shoulders, and the forensics couldn't figure out what kind of ointment was put over it. What's more interesting is that his body, which was on coal, there was no footprints around that area. It's almost like he got dropped out of thin air. Could it have been alien abduction? Like the mysterious case of Zigmund Adamski, Michael McKellick also received some mysterious burns that he claims were from a UFO. What's interesting about this case is that he got these really severe burns to the point that his gloves also started on fire. You can kind of see here that the glove has some severe burns. He was walking along the shoreline on an afternoon by the lake, and when he looked up in the sky, he saw a flying object. While it landed, he approached the flying object, and he actually ended up getting a burn upon the object flying off. No one was able to describe what these burns were. They considered them very strange. He went to the hospital, and the doctors were examining him, and they also noticed some mysterious burns. He felt really nauseous, and his health kind of began to tank. It is claimed that investigations from officials and civilians were able to conclude that it was not a hoax. So what did Michael Malik see that day? Today we will be dissecting the Great Lakes Bermuda Triangle. Though not as famous as the Bermuda Triangle, the Great Lakes has a lot of unexplained cases of missing persons. In 1891, 7 sailors went missing. Neither the remains of the boat or the bodies of the missing persons were ever found. And then in 1937, Captain Donner went to his cabin to take a rest. A member discovered that he was not in his room and he had vanished and his body was never found. And keep in mind that the door was locked and they had to break the door open. What's more chilling, aside from the disappearances, is the strange lights that have been witnessed throughout Lake Michigan. And there have been a lot of conspiracies around UFOs in this area. In 1950, Northwest Airline 2501 also went missing. What's more is that 2 police officers witnessed a light go off above the lake before the plane went missing. So what do you think is happening in Lake Michigan? In 2014, a solo hiking enthusiast went missing. Kenny Veach was a hiking enthusiast. He stumbled upon this cave that was kind of like an M shape. He said when he was walking through it, he felt vibrations throughout his body. And the closer he was getting to something, the closer the vibration was getting intense. He felt really weird vibes, so he left. In his second attempt, he came back with a camera and recorded his thoughts on the matter. Now, the cave was in northern Las Vegas, near Sheep Mountains and Nellis Air Force Base, which garnered a lot of attention and conspiracy stories around it regarding aliens. And then on his third attempt, he tried to go back again and disappeared. Now, despite having a search rescue out there, they never found anything. The only thing that they found was his cell phone. And there are theories circulating around his death. Maybe he may have fallen off a cliff. Maybe he was abducted by aliens. Maybe he was captured by the CIA because he saw something he wasn't supposed to. I would recommend that you watch the video and share your thoughts.
Ever gone to ghost tours and hope for something scary to happen? Well, today we get to share a scary story that happened on a ghost tour. And you get to decide, did this user really experience something scary, or was it just made up? So this girl was last in line when they were doing the ghost hunt at the Myrtles Plantation. No one was behind her. When the host was talking about the slave getting her ear cut off, she felt a ear yank behind her and no one was there. When they entered the other room, there was a shadow figure in the mirror walking away from the rest of the crowd, and she happened to see it. No one else saw it. Was she hallucinating? She thought to herself. I have no idea. And she tried to ignore it. When she went to the other room, she felt a sharp pain on her chest. It turns out,
when we think of cryptids, we actually think that these are supernatural beings and entities, but that's not always the case. For example, let's take Pongo in African folklore. It was said that this entity was a shapeshifter, would raid the villages, was very violent, was said to be half man, half monkey. And with modern science, Pongo turned out to be true. However, Pongo wasn't this shapeshifter, wasn't half man, half monkey. It was actually later to be known a gorilla. In the midst of all of this, no one's talking about how the main singer of Blink-182 is somehow involved in this. Kind of weird.
Hello, and today we're going to be talking about urban legends. Do you live near an area that has all these urban legends? Well, I do. I live next to Riverdale Road. My neighbor's mom worked really late at night. She was driving home around 2 in the morning when she saw a car turned over on Riverdale Road. She stopped her car, rolled down the window, and asked if they were okay, but they did not respond. They just blankly stared at the sky. When she rolled up the window, drove away, she looked behind her and they were all gone. Was she hallucinating? Was this made up?
Alright, so today we're going to talk about Japanese folklore. The most popular folklore is called Satoru-kun. Now, Satoru-kun, and I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, appears as a boy. Some people think it's a spirit, some people think it's a demon. Now, this entity knows the past, present, and future, and the entity can answer any questions asked. But summoning this entity can be very dangerous. Now, you need 3 things to summon this entity: a payphone, a mobile phone, and some money. So you insert the money in the payphone, and then you call your mobile device. And while you're doing this, you also chant "what's above my head." After that, you hang up, and then you turn off your mobile device. Now, in 24 hours, if you did everything right, when they call, they'll keep calling several times. And each time you pick up, the entity is going to get closer and closer. Eventually, the entity will say that they're right behind you. That's when you ask the question. It is said that when this happens, you don't look at it, you don't turn to face.
Is this Trevor? Do I sound like a Trevor to you? Think of me as your director. You're in my movie. You got a fun part, so don't blow it.
What movie?
Same one Marnie's in, only her part got cut way back. But you're the dumb blonde with the big tits. We'll have some fun with you before you die.
I have a 4.0 GPA and 135 IQ, asshole. What did you do with Marnie?
She's on the cutting room floor.
That's not funny.
This isn't a comedy. It's a horror film. People live, people die, and you better start running.
There are several different types of meanings for fairies and where the word comes from. For example, the Latin word phantom means the fates, and the old French word fae mean land, realm, or a characteristic such as enchantment. Now, the word fairy came about to differentiate between warriors and human-sized fairies in other works of literature such as children's books. Now, the word fae depends on the spelling. For the most part, it means pearl for fairy. However, fae can also mean fated to die. Here's a fun fact: if you Google fairy, you will get the lighthearted images. But if you Google fairy, you will find darker images.